Portland Timbers 2021 MLS Season Preview. We have a special guest here with us today, Rocky. Rocky has an Instagram page, Everything Portland Timbers, at Talk and the Woods. Rocky, how you doing? Thanks for joining.
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here in Tucson, getting ready for the Timbers preseason. It's like Christmas down here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep, only a couple days away. We are recording. We're a little bit early here. We're recording on March 12th. Should be released in the next few days. But again, if anything changes when you guys are watching, if you're watching this the week before the season starts and there's some changes, don't be like, what the hell's going on here? It's way early. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about last season. The recap of the year for Portland, a good year, I would say. Not the greatest year, not the best year, but overall a good year. 39 points, third place in the Western Conference, albeit tied on points for first place. All three teams had 39 points last season. A first-round exit in the MLS Cup playoffs after that wild, wacky shootout to FC Dallas. In the first round, losing 8-7 in penalty kicks. But overall, a good year for Portland, and it was capped off. Well, not really capped off because it happened in the beginning/middle of the season. But the Portland Timbers winning MLS is Back tournament. A good year, got to say. Rocky, what are your thoughts on last season and how they can build for this year?
Well, I'm definitely a glass half full kind of guy, or you know what, just drink the water. So I was really excited about last year. With everything that was going on, everyone having the same kind of world situations and all this whatever. How could I be really disappointed? We came home with some hardware. We lost a few players on the other side of it. But even on that aspect of it, we still made a run for the top of the West. We got into the playoffs, which is always good. But by the time we got there, we were pretty gutted on the roster side. So, but overall, I mean, yeah, I'm happy. That was a good season considering everything that was going on.
Totally. All right, let's talk about the offseason moves made by the Timbers, players in and players out. Not a huge list, not a ton of movement from the Timbers this season, this offseason, which is a good thing, especially when you had a successful season the season before. So players in for this one: goalkeeper Hunter Sulte, a homegrown; defender Claudio Bravo, trade from Banfield; and Jose Carlos Van Rankin, the loan from Chivas Guadalajara down in Liga MX. Players out: Marco Farfan, traded to the LA Galaxy; Julio Cascante, drafted by Austin FC; Andres Flores, contract option declined; Chris Duval also had his contract option declined; and Tomas Konechny with his contract mutually terminated. So there is all the moves in and out. My thoughts, I like the moves in with Bravo and Van Rankin on the defense. That's going to help there on the wings for sure. Yes, they lose Marco Farfan. That one hurts a little bit in the trade with LAFC. But overall, for me, the players in outweigh the players out. I'm not too sold on Konechny. Duval was getting up there in age, and Flores, I knew nothing about Andres Flores personally, but overall a good run of players there in Bravo and Van Rankin. What are your thoughts, Rocky, on the players' movement in this offseason for the Timbers?
I think we made a lot of the right moves. I think some of the losses were unfortunate. Not necessarily that we wanted to lose some of those players, but some of those players did want to move on. Jorge Villafania is from LA, so he wanted to go back home to the Galaxy. Farfan, which we love him, homegrown, straight from Portland. And he's going to LAFC, but he wanted to move on. He wanted to grow. So you can't really get upset at those losses. But gaining Van Rankin and Claudio Bravo, and a lot of these guys are, they're already Spanish speaking and they can communicate instantly. And a lot of these guys, the new guys, they've slotted right in practice. It's almost like they were on the team already. So I'm really excited about their chemistry and how they're going to work on the field. Just seeing them with the little practice videos they've had on the Timbers website, and the pictures and stuff, they look like a team that's hungry and ready to play. So Zach McGraw, a new defender that comes in from California, played for the Army, and he's a huge guy. He's at 6'4". He's going to be an awesome center back to have. And when we got him last year, he was injured, so we weren't able to see him. But now I'm excited to see him play.
Designated players, moving into those, Sebastian Blanco. First things first, Rocky, what's the status of Blanco? Is he going to be back to start out this season, or is he going to be missing the beginning part of the season?
He's, I believe he is going to be in practice in Tucson, but not playing. Okay. He's really aggressive in moving forward and believing in himself, and he's a hungry guy. El Chucky. He'll say he's ready. I think the training staff wants to slow him down, and I think he'll be ready for preseason coming up in April for the MLS.
Nice. That's exciting. That's good. So Sebastian Blanco, Jimmy Chara. Jimmy, I always want to say Yimmy, but it's Jimmy Chara. And then Yaroslav Nizgoda, the other two designated players for the Timbers. For me, I think Blanco is very, very important to how this team runs. We saw it last year with his injury and the team missing him immensely. Same thing. Jimmy Chara is a big part and a great first season for the Timbers. When you think of players, and usually when they come in, there's a bit of a transition period and whatnot. This guy, he came right in and had a very good season. Maybe it helps because his brother was on the team, right? Maybe that helped the process a little bit. But overall, a good season there for Jimmy Chara. Yaroslav Nizgoda, I didn't see enough from him as a DP. This season, he's got to prove himself as a designated player if he wants to stick around, at least in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the three DPs?
So Sebastian Blanco, definitely a solid number 10. He is an MLS all-star in my opinion. Definitely one of the best top 10s in the MLS. He was MVP of the MLS is Back Cup, I believe, and was on form to do so in the regular season. Unfortunately, his injury dropped him. But then Jimmy Chara came in. Exactly, he had the chemistry with his brother. Everybody got along. That solid Spanish-speaking midfield and forward. They can communicate so easily. And he's a terror. It says 5'6" on the webpage, but that would be if he's standing on a couple boxes. But giving that said, like, he turns on a dime and he's so agile, and even around tall players, he's really good with his feet in tight spaces, and that's really good with the MLS, given we have some smaller stadiums and like NYCFC Stadium and some other smaller fields. It helps to be good in tight spaces. And then Yaroslav Nizgoda, given his, I'm going to give you this stat right here. 7 for 12 shots on goal. 12 shots on goal this season, and he's put away 7. And given that he had an injury and didn't play a whole lot of minutes, I'm really excited about him. That's one of those guys where if you put those stats on a full season, that's really close to a Golden Boot contender. So I'm going based on that, only because I've seen a lot of his work and seen all of his games, and at least that's my opinion of Yaro. I can't wait for him to, but unfortunately he's going to have a half season again. He's not going to be back until July, I believe. So he had a ACL injury as well. last in the same game that Sebastian. I think Sebastian and Yaroslav, we lost them in the same game.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Man, that's that type of shot rate is amazing. I wasn't aware of that. I just didn't, it being the national podcast and stuff. That's why sometimes we bring guys on like you to help with that kind of stuff, because we don't, I don't get to watch all the Timbers games. So definitely good there bringing that up. MLS Cup odds for the Timbers this season, plus 2,000. So not crazy. They're not super high, but they're kind of middle of the pack as far as MLS Cup odds. But I put them up into these shows just to kind of give people an idea for betting purposes, because I'm a betting guy myself. But I can't put any trust in the MLS Cup odds in March. Talk to me maybe in like July or August. Maybe then they might hold a little bit of weight to say, yes, this team's doing really well. This team's not doing well. This team has a good chance. Right now, forget about it. You can have a team that's plus, 10,000, and they could have a great start to the season and pick up a couple players, and then they're up there. So plus 2,000 is the odds for the Timbers.
LAFC
not yeah, there you go. Exactly, right? Oh, man. So before we get into the next segment of the show, want you guys to make sure you check out our memberships options here on Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast. You can join today, $199 for the starter level, $499 to be a designated player. Get your name featured in the scroll of all of our live streams. So whether we're doing live podcast episodes or live stream reactions for games, your name will be featured along the bottom the entire time. Loyalty badges and custom emojis as well are part of the $199 level. And then for the designated player level, you get all of that. Plus, we're going to be doing one game a month that will be strictly for members only as a live stream reaction. So we'll figure out that game in the beginning of the month, and it will only be for members. Discounted merchandise. We're in the process of moving everything over to Teespring. So discounted merch, and as well, get your name in the description of the video as a designated player. So we already have our first two members of the designated player level. Ramon Pablano and Jamie Pohlny have joined, so thank you to them. And who will be next? Maybe it'll be you. Hit that little blue join button right next to subscribe and get started today to be part of our Sons of a Pitch soccer community. All right, Breakout youngsters. This segment of the show is always hard. Being a national podcast, I don't know the academy players, the homegrown players for all 30 teams, well, 27 teams in MLS. As a TFC guy, I know TFC's academy. The rest of the league, forget about it. I know nothing about these kids until they break out. So for this process, we always go to Reddit and kind of get into a conversation with the guys on Reddit to see, guys and gals on Reddit, to say, hey, who do you think is going to break out for your team this season? So we got a lot of good chat going over there, and it pretty much was a consensus that the only one that really has a young guy that has a chance to break out is Blake Bodley. Rocky, tell me a little bit about Blake Bodley, and also tell me, do you think there's anybody else that could break out for the Timbers this season?
Given that we've lost a few of the young players like Marco and Thomas has moved on, Blake is the door's wide open. He could and he couldn't. I have a really good feeling about him, and then also Zach McGraw. The defender, center back. And we need help in those areas. And if they can show up and show aggression and show passion and passion, then I think they can do it. Unfortunately, it's having a breakout player for a defender or a center mid or a defending mid. They really have to do an amazing job to be in the spotlight.
Right.
For me, I think they don't have to do that, but I think they're going to do a great job.
All right, good stuff. Now, head coach review, Giovanni Savarese. Love that guy, man. I love his passion. Love how he gets into the games. Tell me and the fans what to expect from Giovanni Savarese this season. Is he going to switch anything up with the new players that he brought in, the new wingbacks? Is it going to change the formations at all? Kind of talk to me about the coach.
Well, I think Gio has a pretty solid philosophy. He's definitely one of the guys that he'll say it's team first. And he shows that. There's players that we've lost that a lot of the fans have loved, that it wasn't working. And it shows that on the field with the celebrations. They're very team oriented. Given that we have such good DPs, I think we're a little more forward thinking as far as attacking, especially since we have such depth and we have such a spread of talent in the front. I mean, so many players had goals last year, and I think the same thing is going to happen. The back line, I think, is where we had a little bit of trouble, and I think Gio fixed a lot of those areas. And a little bit of it is going to be coaching and having somebody on the back line showing a little bit of leadership, or having Steve Clark maybe bark a little bit more orders. I'd like to see the defense be a little bit more aggressive for sure. And I think Gio can. I think he's taking care of those things. I think the coaching staff is fixed a lot of those little problems. I mean, they watch constant video of last year and find out where they went wrong and stuff like that. So, but as far as like his formations, we've done a 4-3-2-1 for quite a while, and then even did a 4-2-3-1. And given we have so many strikers available right now, because Jabo is not on national team, Felipe Mora is available, and Sebastian Blanco is coming back. Really, by the time the MLS is coming back, Diego Valeri, Yemi Chara, Andy Polo, all these guys score, and they score a lot. So, yeah. And they score golazos, and they have fun together.
They do.
So, so essentially, nice. Like, and with such a strong front line, such strong forwards and midfield, you can almost run a 3 in the back. And why not try running a 3? So,
yeah, no, I agree. I think that is a possibility, and especially trying to get that attack flowing a little bit better. You start to push those wing backs up, and the options are endless. I mean, Portland, the team is a very good team, a very good team to get excited about this season. Must be nice, Rocky. Must be nice, because as a TFC fan, I'm not super excited about this season, just because they haven't done anything in this offseason. But you've got a hell of a lot more depth than TFC does, and should be a good year for Portland. That is for sure. Now, as far as a projected starting 11, we've got the Timbers in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Clark in goal. From left to right, you got Bravo, Zuparic, Mabiala, and Van Rankin. Williamson and Diego Chara in the defensive mid spots. Then Jimmy Chara, Valeri, and Blanco as the 3 kind of attacking mids, and then Jeremy Ebobisse up top as your starting striker. That is a hell of a lineup. The only holes that I see, honestly, and I know Steve Clark is a good goalkeeper, but I think that is a position that could be upgraded for the Timbers. That's pretty much it. Maybe center backs, would you say they got some young kids coming up there? A very, very strong lineup for the Timbers. Anything that you would change out of that, or what would you be your starting 11?
That's a pretty good one. I mean, honestly, having Jeremy Ebobisse there, because he led us through the MLS. The only other guy I think Pablo Bonilla might be a right back that's gonna definitely compete with Bravo. But I mean, those backs are solid. I mean, they're good moves. And like you said, having Zach McGraw and the young center back coming in, and giving them a try and having him beat. Sorry, I like huge players, especially on the defensive side, because it's hard to have a three-dimensional game with giants on the field. So
yeah.
And Andy Polo as a winger too. Like I might want to slot him in, but at the same time, yeah, that's a solid 11, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue I had with Polo was who do you take out to put him in? I mean, he's a hell of a player. He would start for probably 23, 24 out of the 27 MLS clubs. But who do you take out of that starting 11? The only thing I can think of is possibly Valeri, just because he's getting up there in age. He isn't going to want to play 34 games, so you kind of move guys around that way and put Polo in the midfield. So I think he may start a few games this season, but as far as your best 11, I still think Valeri would still be in that mix, and there you go. So that's the starting 11. Most important player. This is the guy that if he has a bad season, it's not going to be good for the team. If he has a great season, it's going to push them to the next level. For me, it comes down to one player and one player only, Jeremy Ebobisse. The man, if he scores and has a great season, this team, as you mentioned earlier, is so loaded with scoring out of the midfield that if they're getting a big-time golden boot type of season out of Ebobisse in the front, look out. This team, the MLS Cup is a very real possibility for this team. So he's my most important player. 2019, 34 appearances, 11 goals and 1 assist. Then in 2020, out of only 18 appearances, he's got 8 goals and 2 assists. So basically improving there because it's half the season, right, of the season before. And he almost put up the same numbers. So if he can improve again and get maybe 15 to 17 goals, I think that's enough to put them over the top. And then possibly, I mean, I could even see him doing a 20, 22 goal season in all reality. But for me, that kind of magic number is like 17 goals. If he had 17 goals this season, Portland is going to be a serious contender for MLS Cup, and he's my most important player. What do you think?
I think he's a really important player, but I think my most important player is going to be Sebastian Blanco this year. I think we have enough forward depth. I mean, no disrespect to Jeremy. You're right though. Like if he's our starting striker, he's going to score 20 goals probably. Given his ratio, what he was doing last year before he got hurt, and having our solid 10s around and having Sebastian around him, he's going to be insane. But if he takes off to national team or goes somewhere else, I think Felipe Mora, Yaroslav Nizgoda, I think they'll slot right in. We still even have Dairon Asprilla or Mr. November. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right. So you'll go with Blanco's most important player. I'm going with Ebobisse. Now, the first game for the Timbers is actually the CONCACAF Champions League. For winning, MLS is back. They are in the CCL this season, facing off against Marathon of Honduras on Tuesday, April 6th is leg 1 in Honduras. And then, of course, the return leg the week later in Portland. The first matchup being a CCL game, we've talked about it a million times. You hate to see this. I at least hate to see the CCL being played before the regular season even starts. These guys are still in training camp mode. But a good opponent for the Timbers in that regard, because Marathon doesn't stand a chance against Portland if Portland plays their game. Now, not saying it can't happen, because you never know in soccer, right? But chances are the Timbers will get through that first matchup and then sail right into the April 17th opening weekend for regular season for MLS. Predictions, and as far as a ceiling and a floor for me, I always give the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. For me, it's very, very simple for the Timbers. Best case scenario, if all goes right, they're lifting a trophy at the end of the season as MLS Cup champions. First in the West, walking through the playoffs, that is a possibility for the Timbers if all goes well. if things go horribly and the coach, gets fired and that's a complete mess, I could see the Timbers being the last team into the playoffs, right there on the bubble as the number 7 seed. This team is a playoff team. Even if everything goes horribly, I don't see them missing the playoffs this season. So those are my predictions. Rocky, what are your predictions for the Timbers in his 2021 season?
Yeah, best case scenario, I think a few trophies. Definitely an MLS Cup is a possibility with everyone healthy and everyone playing their game. The Shield is a possibility. I think not if it's not MLS Cup or US Open Cup, whatever tournament's in the middle, that's a possibility. CCL is a really long shot for any MLS team, but I think we want to dig pretty deep in that one. But I think playing those caliber teams and those tournaments early and then dropping into the MLS, I think is a good advantage for us. Even in the worst case scenario, we showed last year that even losing all of our designated players, we can still win games and make playoffs. So worst case scenario, I think we'll still make playoffs. But I think we have a really good chance this year.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, Rocky, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out here for the Timbers season preview. Please tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram.
Thanks, Mike. Yep, my Instagram page is Talk in the Woods. That's TalkNDAWOODS, Talk in the Woods. That's my Instagram page. I do a little bit of news, a little bit of memes, lots of banter, but always a good time. And you can come check me out there, check out news. And if you want to laugh, it's always a good stop there, too. Thanks, nice. Mike. I really appreciate everything. And can't wait to see you again, man.
All right. Sounds good. Good luck to your Timbers. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content. And good luck to the Timbers. You don't need it. It's going to be a great season for Portland. And can't wait for this season to start in the CCL against Marathon. Everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great night.